Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Dylan, I kind of feel a little dirty, Dylan.
Why?
Of what we're about to do.
Okay.
We're about to have a show about an engine.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the Sunburn Gaming engine.
Oh, that's totally cool. That shows that we maintain neutrality as journalists and yet can advertise.
I don't know that I would call us journalists, but yes. Everything else with that is
fake journalists.
But we're going to talk about 2D and a 3D engine. And I want to point out that in the Sunburn Gaming engine, even though it's a 3D engine, it actually supports 2D. And if you listen to the rest of the podcast, which I hope you don't just tune in for the ads, but if you do, that's fine. Everybody, do your own thing. But if you just tune in for the ads...
you like to use Google in really weird ways. Like,
you probably use Ask Jeeves.
Oh, is that like covered in ads?
I guess. I don't know. I just want to point out that the Sunburn engine does support 2D, and when I say it does support 2D, I mean it actually supports 2D. There are methods for 2D rendering. So when we go on to the show and we talk about this other engine, we're going to talk about ways to do 2D in a 3D engine, which would apply to any 3D engine. You could do this in any 3D engine. And essentially, all hardware nowadays actually is 3D, and somewhere along the lines, it's doing this for you. You just don't have to have that nastiness exposed to you that everything is actually 3D now on GPUs, and even your 2D stuff becomes 3D down the pipeline at some point. But the Sunburn Gaming engine has actual methods for rendering to 2D, and it combines some of the power of 3D engines when you render to 2D. So usually when you're rendering to 2D and you're doing your own 2D graphics, one thing you have to concern yourself with is making sure you only draw to the screen what is visible. When you do 3D, a lot of times you just load up a 3D scene and let the engine decide what is visible and what to render, because, you know, there's a lot of fucking math involved, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got an engine. That's why you don't have that math. So, you get the advantage of letting the engine do it when you do 2D in Sunburn. So when you do 2D in Sunburn, you can actually render the entire world, map, whatever, platform level that you have, and then just let the camera move down, and Sunburn will pre-cache everything and just render what it needs to render on screen. Few tweaks, few properties, and there you go. You have 2D up, rendering sprites, tiles, just like you're used to. Do sprite sheets. You can use all of your familiar 2D concepts in the engine. And you can even throw in 3D effects if you want. So you can put height on the sprites and have them cast shadows. So you can have a parallax layer of clouds going across, throwing a translucent shadow on the ground layer. You can set all that up and do that in the Sunburn Gaming engine. If you'd like more information on the Sunburn Gaming engine, check out synapsegaming.com. Okay, welcome everyone to the show. Cicely is with us tonight, but she just stepped away and is changing a diaper. And also saved a podcast catastrophe of the little one grabbing the microphone during the ad. Dylan's here.
Hi.
And we are back in the swing of having guests on the podcast, and tonight's guest is Sean Young. Hello, Sean. Oh, no, did we lose Sean?
Hey, no, I had it on mute.
All right. We put him to sleep. Not the first guest, I think. We put him together. So, I asked Sean on the show, because he currently has a Kickstarter up, and if you've been following the show, you know lately I've been really following every project up on Kickstarter and seeing where it goes. And the Kickstarter essentially is to buy the Unity license for iOS. I assume you already have the Android license, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So you got a game, it's up on Android, it's Backyard Zombies, and you just want, your Kickstarter was $400 so I can buy the license, port my game, and put it up there. Now, I'm going to draw a conclusion. I'm going to do some inference, okay? I'm going to apply what I learned in college and say there's not a lot of money coming off the Android version. The Android market isn't getting you the $400 for the license.
Yeah, you know, Well, I've got about 250 downloads off the Android market, and yeah, that's not a lot at 99 cents. But I've gotten about 700 on the Amazon market, which is actually a really, really good market to put Android games on. But yeah, I've been spending my money, so I don't have $400 to get the other
All
the
right.
other thing and from the Kickstarter.
And the other thing is that I contacted you because, like, I think it was the day that your Kickstarter went up, Unity announced that iOS and Android was free.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I was getting ready myself to plop down $400 because I was running out of my trial, because we are working on a project that is essentially a 2D game, and we're wanting to hit iOS first, and then pick up Android, maybe web, following. And it was like, Unity looks great for this. You know, Unity hits all these platforms. Except for the snag that it's 2D. I mean, the games are 2D, and Unity is a 3D gaming engine, and you have to go into tricks, I guess you would say. So I'm not going to bury the lead here, and I'm just going to start off here and ask you, Sean, what approach did you do to do your 2D game in Unity?
All right, well, first off, I guess there's you can change your main camera settings in Unity to be a little more fitting for a 2D game rather than a 3D game. Cameras in Unity can have their projection set to either perspective or orthographic. And well, I used for Backyard Zombies, I use orthographic, and that eliminates all sense of perspective, you know, making objects seem a little more flat, and that is definitely one way to approach a 2D game. For all my objects, I just use cubes with textures on there, and obviously only one side of the cube is showing. And basically that, I guess it's not true 2D, it's more like 2.5D, because everything is still in 3D space. But just the way the camera's set up and objects, you know, farther away or closer to the camera, you know, everything looks 2D.
So the approach that I'm going is very similar, except where I'm actually just putting a plane object on there.
Okay.
Except that instead of using the Unity plane, because I went to Unity and it was like create plane, and it made this plane object with like 1,000 triangles in it.
Yeah, I didn't like. I don't know how anyone uses that.
And I was like, what the hell? So I went to Blender, made a plane with 2 triangles, and I've actually imported that 3D object so that I've got a 2 triangle plane to work with. Now, for sprites, so like each individual asset is its own plane. Each individual sprite on the screen is its own plane. I'm not writing a bunch to the same plane, which I guess you could maybe attempt to work out or something. But I don't have any performance issues I've noticed, so I'm not going to go down that path until I need to. But what I'm working on, and I don't have it working solid yet, but I've seen the concept in practice, is I am changing the UV coordinates on the object itself off the timer so that when my guy walks and there's 3 frames for the walk animation, I'm really just shifting the UV coordinates to kind of do like a sprite sheet.
Yeah, I think that's a very common way to do sprites. But I read somewhere that does like a draw call every time you're shifting the UV or whatever. So I think if you have a lot of those sprites going on, it could actually have some performance issues. Like,
okay. So what approach did you take for animations?
well, I didn't use any sprites at all, really. Everything is its own object. I have like the arm of the main character, the body. So they're all just different objects with animations on them, just like rotating. Okay,
yeah. So, for any fans on the show, when I've talked about Jamezilla and the Dishwasher, and James's book, what is that, Programming XNA 2.0?
I think so.
Yeah, he basically builds this kind of engine where each element of the and if you've played the Dishwasher, if you've played ZBK, ZP29K, or what
ZP2K9.
ZP2K9 on Xbox Indies, you've seen this style of animation where the arms can like raise up and down independently, and so you don't have to animate the individual sprite. I don't know what we're doing. That may not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may not work for us, but I don't know that we're going to hit performance issues. Now, did you use any of Unity's, oh shoot, I forget what they call it. I'm not that skilled into Unity yet. I'm not that deep into Unity, but they have a 2D system for HUD and menus and such.
Is that in the asset store, or?
If it's a plugin, it's a free plugin. And I'm assuming from that response that the answer is no, that you haven't checked that out.
No, I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
It's there is a Unity 2D add-on or something that you can get, but it's mainly made for menus. So if you just want some menus really easily and you have low changing static assets. I haven't tried to go in that to see like how far can you take that on a 2D game. So I guess since you had everything as cubes, then you just used Unity's built-in collision detection?
Yeah, that's correct. I did that, yeah. And that's one thing I found with planes. How do you... I don't think you can put a box collider or any collider on a plane. How do you...
I drop a sphere collider on there and then just tweak up the sphere until it's roughly around my thing. At the moment, we're not going to have a lot of collision on what we're doing. So at the moment, I don't care to go into pixel level collision or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
Are you going into that kind of detail, or are you just saying like, hey, hand grenades and horseshoes?
Yeah, no, I just have a bunch of the basic box colliders slapped on and everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, what we actually have is two objects. We have the sphere collider, we have the plane, and then they're grouped to move together.
Okay.
Is essentially the way that I'm doing that. And, I'll get this in show notes. I really should have had this linked up when we started. But I watched a presentation from some Unity user group over in London. And the guy walked through this method of doing his game. And there's some components that he wrote, but most of it that he did. And he was building... Basically, it was like an Angry Birds type clone game. So, I guess maybe that's why it would work performance-wise, because you don't have a lot on-screen changing at once with an Angry Birds game, but a scrolling shooter like Backyard Zombies would have a lot more happening on the screen, and you may run into issues.
Yeah.
What level, since you're in Android, I don't know how they do it on the Android side, because I haven't looked into that yet, but I know, like, you can drop down your iOS levels, but it gets, like, crazy restrictive. Like, if you want to support, like, iOS 3, I think you're, like, down to, like, 16 meg of an install or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that can be tight to fit in. I don't know, how does it work on the Android side?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think on Unity it has this thing where, like, it won't show up on certain devices when they're browsing the Android market if Unity isn't supported by that device.
Okay, so you're not really having to wonder then whether or not either they run Unity and it's fine, or they don't run Unity and they don't see your game.
Yeah, basically.
Do you have an idea of, like, what version of Android people are needing? Is it, like, 2.1, or are they needing something higher?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's magic. It just runs in its magic.
It is magic.
So what else? All right, so let me back up a second. Let me ask, what is your background? Do you consider yourself a developer, designer, completely new to it? This was your first? Like, what do you consider your background coming to Unity?
Really, I just got out of Intro to C back at college, so I mean, I'm still I'm a beginner with programming. I'm all right with drawing. I can draw some cool stuff in Photoshop, but yeah, I guess I would consider myself just in a little bit of everything. I mean,
Okay, so
This was my first game in Unity, so.
have you done games in other languages, even just little ones that never went anywhere, but just like little side projects?
I made, I recreated Pong in, what was that, Basic?
Okay, that counts.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so that's just for background to lead up to this question of what were your thoughts on Unity and where did you feel you kind of ran into issues, and where did you feel like, hey, this thing really shines at these moments?
Really, overall, it's been a awesome experience. I mean, they really handle a lot of the low-level programming that most game designers really don't want to worry about. It's just as simple as dragging and dropping a bunch of pictures, and I think that's the fun part. So Unity is pretty good for that. I don't have any experience with other game engines, so I can't really compare it.
Okay. The approach that I have as a developer, I think is pretty universal for developers when they open up Unity, which is where the fuck is my code?
Yeah.
And I installed Unity 2 years ago. We were doing Noxon at that time, still in
New Horizons.
the New Horizons Center. So I mean, that's how old that was. And I installed it and went, yeah, fuck this. I write code. I don't know what the hell this is. And as we've gone on more, writing your own code is really limiting if you can use a tool like Unity that goes multiple places. Now, the advantage is that our coding experience is C#, which is also what Unity scripts in. Oh, okay, you also do JavaScript. So did you do C# scripting, or did you do JavaScript?
I use JavaScript.
JavaScript? How did you find learning that, since you were kind of new to it? Unity, to me, doesn't seem very self-exploration. Like, well, I'm used to things that just prompt you and let you inspect objects and things like that in the scripting, and I'm not finding that Unity's editing tool is all that great from the IDEs I'm used to, so I don't think it's that approachable for new people, but maybe I'm wrong in that.
Well, I had to definitely look online for a lot of tutorials. I watched countless videos on how to program in Unity script, as it's called. Yeah, and I just put in a lot of time, and I'm pretty familiar with it now.
Okay. How long did you spend developing Backyard Zombies?
That was about 3.5 months.
3.5 months. That is pretty good, I would say. For like serious first game effort.
Yeah.
No code experience.
0 to game.
And to get that up. Where'd the idea for the game come from?
I don't remember exactly. I was in my dorm and I was just drawing some stuff, and I liked zombies, and I knew I wanted to make a cute game, because that's what's really popular, I think, on mobile devices right now. So I took something I liked, which is zombies, and I made it cute, and yeah, just kind of fell together.
I'm throwing out some video here of the gameplay a little bit. So as the guy's running and jumping, is it just like a single tap thing, or how is the interface done on the touch screen of the phone?
Yeah, basically you either touch the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen to shoot in that direction, and you tap your character to jump, and he just goes up.
So how do you find yourself when you're playing it? Are you using like 3 fingers and keeping one over them, or are you going back and forth?
Oh, I'm just using my 2 thumbs. I mean, I think it's pretty convenient. The middle's not too far away.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it looks pretty good. I'll have to wait for the iOS port to play it. I don't know, actually. I've got my... Do you know if the Unity supports the Gen 1 droids? The Droid Classic?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Because maybe I could get it on that if it'll let me get to the App Store with no Verizon contract anymore.
If you got Wi-Fi...
If I got Wi-Fi, it might let me get in there and check it out. In fact, that'd be interesting to know if I can do that, because just for development and testing of our own stuff, that would be that would be good with that. So, you got any question on this, Dylan? Go ahead and just...
Not really. I've not messed around with Unity very much.
Nothing you're curious about on it?
Not... Again, like with the project we're talking about, I'm doing more of the back end.
Yeah, you are doing the back end and the server side. Did you do any server side high score sharing components or anything like that?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, high scores? What did you say?
Yeah, did you do any kind of high score sharing components or anything?
Oh, no, I haven't done any of that stuff, no.
Okay, all right. So that's another area where I'm kind of looking into Unity. The free version, the low version, limits you in your connectivity, but I think we're okay because it limits you to web calls basically, and we can build a web service to feed the data. If you want actual socket level programming, then you have to step up to Pro, which Unity Pro is $1,500.
That's a lot of money.
Plus $1,500 for iOS, plus $1,500 for Android. So if you want, you could drop $4,500 if you want on Unity. I think it's good for up to $100,000. I've always said, like, if I make $100,000 off my game, I'm happy to give the engine its share. You know, I will write that check smiling. I will have no complaint, you know, of whatever extra they want. But they're amused in chat that you're getting the post-it notes, Dylan.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the Warcraft
what
book.
to do at this
You
point.
take the things and say thank you.
Thank you.
And she's giving you a look too, like you're not understanding her.
Thank you.
I don't understand how you're not understanding this, sir. This is pretty self-explanatory.
No, it's...
I am sharing.
It's a Warcraft book and 2 post-it notes. What else do you need? I expect it done by the time I get back.
What done?
Have you seen the Seinfeld where George doesn't walk in the bathroom with his boss because he figured that would be awkward, and his boss thinks he followed him in there and explained the entire project in the bathroom and then came back out and then said, all right, I expect that, done in a week. And then he spends the entire episode trying to figure out.
I've not seen that.
Okay, well, that's there. Yeah, so my thoughts on Unity, I think we've gone around, we've kind of evaluated. GameMaker is an option that is out there, but seems to have a lot of issues from the community in the blog posts, and they seem to be stuck on this next version of GameMaker they're trying to build, and that has drug on to like a year and a half. And so they're not updating the current project, or the current version, which has issues, and there's nothing shipped on the new one, and they're actually, we think we talked about this in prior episodes, where some of the high-profile developers have left GameMaker. That would have been a 2D framework.
Well, they're doing... that one's trying to do HTML5, and Unity just kind of completely bypasses that.
What's your thoughts on Unity? Now you're quiet again in front of the mic. All right then, use it. So I don't really know of what else is out there that has the reach that Unity does, because right now I know that Unity is doing. You got your mobile platforms. Although I don't think it does Windows Phone, in the same way that it doesn't do XNA for Xbox Live Indie games. Now it does, however, claim to do Xbox. That you can't buy the Xbox, PS3, and Wii versions of Unity without having a contract for those consoles.
Yeah, you have to buy the dev kit on.
Yeah, I think at that point that goes along with the dev kit, and for licensing reasons that they're not going to sell those to you directly. It does support, it has a web browser plugin, and it does support the Chrome native apps. Is that what they call it on Chrome? Native apps?
I think just Chrome apps is what I've seen.
No. There's Chrome native. Like Bastion runs Chrome native.
Oh, I don't think I've run anything Chrome native, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so like Chrome has a way of like running on the metal, and you're installing an app, but it's not a web app anymore. But they're going through the Chrome VM, so it's still emulated, and like Bastion does it. So you can play the full-on Bastion game in your Chrome browser now, and I think that's like $10 or $12. I don't know. Dylan Purple Square is the message in chat now.
Post-it notes. What do I do with these?
I feel sorry for anybody that doesn't have like the video feed that's listening to this in the audio. Go check out the YouTube.
It is awkward.
Yeah. She's alpha dog Dylan, and Dylan is subservient. You are below her station. So
Because she's giving me
she's
pieces.
assigning you tasks or post-it notes or... Yeah.
But I don't...
Don't worry, it'll be her bedtime soon. And then you can live free. Alright, well, I think, I don't see anything in chat. I don't think I missed any questions in chat on Unity, at this point. So, I know I didn't want to bury the lead, so we just started off with Unity. So let's back up a little bit and, what we're, like, into programming or playing lately. And I'll let you go first, Sean, there. What are you playing or coding on, working on lately?
I've been working on this mech game. It's like a 2D shooter thing in space.
Yeah, and, you know, I gave you Hell's Yeah props because mechs.
Yeah, I saw
There you
that.
go, done.
I was watching some of your other videos. I think it was like your top games or whatever, and you said that you'll play any mech game, so that's
Yes.
cool.
Bad ones are good. It's hard to make an actual bad mech game. We got a Kickstarter coming up, like I'm on the fence about backing simply because it's a mech game.
Why are you on the fence about making...
Because it's a Facebook game.
Oh.
But it's a mech
Have
game.
you seen that Lego game?
What's this?
Have you seen that Lego game? It's like Mobile Frame Zero or something.
No, what is this?
It's a tabletop game. It's on Kickstarter. It looks really cool. You build your little robot out of Legos, and it's just a tabletop game. You can like build your own army and you fight other people. It's really cool.
That sounds interesting. Do you know what the name of it is?
Yeah, it's Mobile Frame Zero. I would back it if I had money.
Let's see. Oh, it looks like they hit their goal too. Like quickly.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they were asking for 9,000 and they have 9,600, so they will be funded here. Giant Lego Robot Strategy and Tactics. Yeah, I'll have a link to this up in the show. Oh man, that guy looks so badass right there.
It's so simple, yet it's so cool.
So
This is what made me want to make the mech game.
really, this is the awesome of Lego. This is what's pissed me off on Lego recently, because Lego, everybody that's into Lego again, like Lego's becoming popular again. I'm hearing a lot of podcasts talk about it, but everybody's buying these kits and then assembling like the Death Star or the X-Wing or something. And like, yeah, I built it like it's a 3D puzzle or something. And I'm like, that's not what the fuck you do with Legos. You don't give a shit about what you're supposed to build with it. You know, you buy it for the parts because you like, look at that hinge. That hinge is genius. You know what I could make if I had that hinge?
So are these actual Lego pieces, or are these ones that the game... Is the game just a set of rules, or are they actually molding pieces?
Oh, man, that is totally like a Ghost in a Shell, like little mech dude right there.
Oh.
No, these
Now look at that one.
these look like real Legos. Like, I guess you make these, and then play with them in the game somehow. Wow, there's your plant dude. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna be all over that. It's not a video game, so I don't wanna, derail us too much on that. But, yeah, that thing is crazy.
You know what?
So
Screw Unity. Let's just go
this
get the
inspired
Legos.
you to go for a mech game. So what's the plot? What's the thrust here?
Oh, in my mech game, or
Yeah.
Well, it's basically you just move up and down. There's 3 lanes, and you've got asteroids coming at you. You got aliens and even other robots that will shoot back, and you just have to dodge and collect these little. I'm not sure if I want to do coins or you want. Yeah, you got to collect something, and then you can just buy new gear and get new weapons and stuff.
Yeah, that's critical. I have to be able to modify. There has to be a mech bay.
Yeah, you have to be able to change your mech
I don't have some kind of way to over-customize and obsess over details. I'm not... But then again, don't necessarily use me, because like I'm the hardcore MechWarrior 2 simulator mech game, and modern mech games usually aren't that hardcore anymore. They're like Mech Assault and all of that become much more arcade.
Even so, I think there's some sort of element of switching mechs, or, there's got to be some sort of customization.
Yeah, you can do it by switching mechs.
Usually.
I think it's what Mech Assault. You can't actually customize a Mech Assault, but you can switch back and forth with that. We have a mech game that we put on hold because it's a 3D game. And,
oh, really?
Well, so we have a problem with scope, in that all of the game ideas, I take the scope and then I just expand upon them, and I sat down and wrote down the story arc that I have for the game. And it's very much based upon the classic MechWarrior. If you've played the classic MechWarrior, there was a loose plot that moved you from planet to planet. The actual mech combat always took place in a box arena. So I like that, because it's like, okay, we can do this because it's a box arena. However, once I sat down and wrote down the plot and the story beats, I wrote the plot and story beats for a 3-game arc. Like, I basically got up and got like, okay, I have Mass Effect 3, I have the Mass Effect trilogy, is what we need to build, and it kind of got away from us, and so we've put that one on hold, and like, all right, we're going to shelve that. It's hard now watching mechs come back into popularity and not go, screw what we're doing, we're going back to this massively over-complex project we'll probably never ship.
Yeah.
Because we all have day jobs, and it's hard to dedicate time to the game dev stuff with day jobs on that. So, what have you been playing wise, video game wise? What are you taking breaks with?
League of Legends. And that's about it.
I've not played a Dota game.
Oh, really?
And break it down. So I've never played a Dota game. I have a vague idea because I've played real-time strategy games, played Warcraft 3.
StarCraft 2.
What's that?
StarCraft 2?
StarCraft 2, yes.
Okay, I'm a fan.
So what makes them different? What makes the League of Legends and the Dota games different from just an RTS game?
Well, I guess you're only controlling one character, as opposed to an entire army. And see, with League of Legends, and I guess all Dota games, you have like 5-on-5. You got different lanes, and so it's not just like 1-on-1. It's more around.
Are you controlling one unit and giving orders to the other 4? Or is it...
Oh, no, you're playing with 4 other real people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's great if you and your buddies want to get on there, and it's actually really fun.
So is it really kind of like a Team Fortress from a top-down perspective?
Team Fortress?
Yeah, Team Fortress Classic.
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't played that. But yeah, it's you see it's top down. It's like StarCraft.
Capture the flag, basically, the first-person shooter.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Yeah, I need to check those out. That's on my list of like, I need to play Dota or League of Legends or something and get that out, because I hear a lot of people are into those heavy with that. How about you, Dylan? Where have you been this week?
The aforementioned project that we've talked about, we're looking at Azure, so I actually got kind of the framework set up of, how we're going to build web services, how I'm going to test them, since it's going to be a while before we actually start working on the client. how I can set up a bunch of unit tests, which is something, again, that's probably not something most game devs are going to be touching.
I think we'll have a blog article or something. Yeah. Maybe it'll be on our blogs. We'll probably retweet it from GameMarx or something on how you got all this set up. But basically, yeah, we're going to use Azure for our cloud backend to keep our data. But we're going to let you log in either with our own accounts, Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, or possibly no account. Right. So one thing they do in Hero Academy that I like is I somehow have an account I've never created. It knows me when I log in.
iPhone actually has something called a UDID, which is like unique to the device.
Yeah.
And then Android has a number. I looked it up. There's a couple of different IDs that you can use. They don't necessarily stay the same between reinstalls, I think, but basically you have some sort of device ID.
But it's kind of nice to record that so the user doesn't have to create an account or anything. No barrier to entry. Just start playing. And when they're ready to get more involved, you can say, hey, we need you to make this account, but we're going to transfer over your records, your win-loss, and now you can customize your avatar and do all that, or link up your other accounts. But the idea is just play. Just get the game and play immediately, because we want you to get you hooked, and then, later come back. We don't have a barrier to entry of like, hey, you got to fill out and register and pick a password and all that thing. Or
even connect to Facebook.
Yeah, and with this app that you don't trust right now, because you just got it and you don't trust it, so, you don't want to link up your Facebook or Twitter or anything to it. In that response. So, we'll have, when that goes up on blog, posts, I wanted to add that in there because I have when we move Xbox Indies to Azure, I posted a lot of the journey of that, so I want to add that to that trail and just, I'm impressed with Azure so far, so I don't mind talking about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with, obviously I haven't touched the deployment side of things, but just,
the deployment is drop-dead simple. It's crazy.
Spinning up the and the dev fabric and stuff like that, you can do cloud services and test them on your PC is pretty cool.
Stags wants to know where the UUID of an ID that's unique to the device, where the acronym came from.
I have no idea.
Well, I think he's trolling you because maybe it's unique device ID.
I think that's probably what it is.
I think he's trolling you. Yeah.
UDID.
Yeah.
Because I want to say I hit a Stack Overflow question that's like, what's the UUID of this or something? It's like, no, it's a string. It's not a UUID. It's a UDID.
Yeah. Well, there is like a proper term for GUID.
Yeah.
Like GUID is actually like Microsoft's term for unique ID or something. Like there's a UID or something like that. That there's a more generic term to GUID, and GUID is like one of these. Like Microsoft has taken and embraced and extended some other standard or concept. So I've come across that before. Yeah. Play-wise, what's anything?
Skyrim.
Skyrim?
Until I finished I actually did go on the Xbox Live Rewards, and I've put in, I think, over 150 hours on it.
Oh, wow. So wait, do you get any Xbox rewards for that game?
No, but the Xbox Rewards program has the stats. It will show you how much you've played. I think I also checked, because Raptor sent me, it's like a web service that, will track stuff.
As long as you can connect to the internet, it will track. Occasionally there'll be stuff like the glitch that was originally in Skyrim, where it, for a period of hours, could not see Skyrim.
Okay, this was probably after that, because I started playing Christmas, basically, when I got it.
I haven't really played anything this week. This week has not been good for me to have free time to play anything. Yeah. But I am trying to decide whether to play Dragon Age or not. This is actually Dragon Age 2. This is a difficult decision.
Dragon Age 2.
What's that?
A groan.
I didn't like Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, so I am 3 hours in, and I'm not liking anything about it. I played
You played the original?
I played the original 3 or 4 times over.
Dude, that is one of my favorite games. I loved it.
Played all the DLC to it. Played the expansion pack to it. Wasn't enthralled with the expansion pack enough to play it multiple times, but I did play it a couple times just to vary the endings. Even though I kind of felt like they whiffed the ending because they didn't have like any animated sequences. They just had those text cards popped up, so I kind of thought they phoned that in. But man, when I got into Dragon Age 2, which I just started playing, I bought it when it came out. I pre-ordered it because I just activated my pre-order bonuses, like a couple weeks ago, and which is good because they like expired in March or something. And I didn't play it because all the reviews basically came out and like, oh, it's bad. And I'm like, well, I'm busy and I didn't get a chance. And now I'm trying to go back to my back catalog. This is hard for me. I'm a guy that reads a bad book because I started it. I finish a bad game because I got halfway through it. I have a problem with like not finishing something I started. Like I feel like I've committed to it and I should finish it even when I'm not enjoying it. And I'm trying to have the wrestle right here of like, am I just going to abandon it? I'm done, and I'm going to move on to something else.
I think you kind of have to, because when I've done that with books or games, like I just stop reading or stop playing games for a while because I can't go back to it. It's like, no, you gotta cut yourself loose.
That's kind of part of why I haven't played anything this week, because if I play something, it should be Dragon Age 2, because that's my current game, and I just play one game at a time. I can't, too many things going on in life to do multiple games.
I'm the same way. And
I don't want to play Dragon Age 2, so I've been reading books about space, That's kind of what I've been doing, with the spare time. So I don't know, but my alternative of my back catalog is to either play Mass Effect 2 DLC, because I really kind of want to play the 2 DLC before I go into 3. 3's coming out to lukewarm reviews. Basically, finish the series. If you're a fan of the series, this will tie it up for you. So it doesn't sound as bad as Dragon Age 2. But nobody's coming out and going holy fucking shit, they blew me away. This is, when I read that it was worse than Mass Effect 2, and I kind of consider Mass Effect 2 worse than Mass Effect 1, not from mechanics and gameplay. The mechanics and gameplay got better. The story was worse. Mass Effect 2 was a bunch of run around collecting your crew members, and that was it. Mass Effect 1, I almost teared up. At that, spoiler alert, okay? At the scene at the end of Mass Effect 1 where you think you might be dead, I was like, oh my god, no! I'm alive! Oh my god, I'm alive! Look at it! I'm ready to cry, and I'm talking about ready to cry on the 3rd playthrough that I know that scene's coming through. It's just an awesome moment, at the end of that game. And 2 didn't have that moment.
I was gonna say the fact that you're kind of underselling 2, well, no, I really don't want to go back and finish Mass Effect 1 because then I'll just want to play 2 and 3 and it'll just get worse.
It has the, we need to term this Battlestar Galactica syndrome.
Battlestar Galactica is still worth it.
It's good, but no matter how many people tell you not to watch Season 4, you will watch Season 4 because 3 is that good. You're like, no, it can't go. And then you'll watch it and you'll be like, what have I done? Why did I do this? Why is Starbuck Jesus?
Don't go and make the further error of watching The Plan. Because then you just get the retcon.
Watch The Plan. I have not watched Caprica, and I don't know that I care about a young Adamus because they're bringing it back again.
Yeah, I don't know. That Blood and Chrome could be good. Caprica didn't hold my interest, but that's a whole other issue. And
so, GA Tech Crab, Mass Effect 2 is also awful. Planet scanning, no Mako. I read all the reviews about how, they got rid of all the stupid planet stuff with the Mako. I like the Mako. I know it handled like crap.
They could have made it better.
But, they could have just improved the handling on the Mako. I kind of I felt like I was an away team on a random planet, and, you know, went to the locations on the map and got an artifact or something. I kind of liked it. It broke monotony. I hated the planet scanning.
I kind of hated the Mako as well when I was playing Mass Effect 1, but I still kind of wanted to explore. It is how you build up something that feels like a very expansive universe without actually building.
I think what we're experiencing in these franchises, in Dragon Age, in Mass Effect, is publishers wanting annual releases. You can annually release Call of Duty and Modern Warfare, okay?
You can't do that with a role-playing
because they
game.
have 6 hours of storyline that isn't even storyline. Run here, blow shit up, run here, blow shit up, run here, blow shit up, done. You know, that's all the storyline is. You can't, if you're going to annually kick out a release, you have like a week or two to come up with a storyline. Because you got to start building all the assets, getting all the voice actors in, scripting all the things.
Wait a minute,
getting
though.
QA.
Mass Effect didn't come out 3 years ago, did it? Or
I think there is
over
2 years between 1 and 2. There's only 1 year between 2 and 3.
Okay, yeah, that would.
And the same with Dragon Age. There's only a year between Dragon Age 1 and 2.
It may just be that part of the problem may be that they're trying to one up the rest of the storyline. So with Mass Effect, they have to extend out the first story.
But you don't have like 3-4 months of
right
design planning meetings. You don't have time to prototype some concepts and it's like, let's try this, let's try that and see if that works. The same thing's happening with the Assassin's Creed series. I haven't played the latest Assassin's Creed, but it seems like each one comes out and the story is suffering the most when I read the reviews. And that's the part that interests me most in these series. I mean, the mechanics are fun, but they're kind of getting overly complicated because they keep adding more and more things to them as they go on because they feel they must. And it's like, I would be fine if you left the mechanics the same and just write an interesting story because that's really what's bringing me back to playing those. I don't care if they have a multiplayer, component or something added, but
there's some people who feel the opposite. Like, I think that wouldn't fly with reviewers if they did that.
Well, I think, I think reviewers,
that's
maybe
not a
like
good thing,
mainstream gaming public, that might not fly because if you don't have a nice bullet list of all these new features, you don't have a sequel.
Right.
You can't run down the list. But I don't know. Maybe I just need. Well, so my birthday's coming up. My birthday's the end of March. I have a lot of games on my Amazon wish list that I am holding off on. Best Buy just told me I got like a $20 certificate, so I have like a backup, discount on that. So I can get some games. I'm really kind of interested in PlayStation Show the 3rd. That just sounds like a good break. I do want a big game though. Like I'm in the mood for a long, big game.
Have you guys been, have you seen Guild Wars 2?
Yeah.
I don't. Did
Guild
that
Wars
recently release, or I know that it's.
Isn't that an MMO? Or no?
Yeah, it's an MMO. It's not released yet, but it's looking pretty decent.
I can't play MMOs.
Really? Why not?
Because that's like an alcoholic going into a bar, right? you once you've cleaned up, you can never go back. Like if I'm gonna keep my little ring and be like, 3 years sober of like no MMO addiction, there will be no GameMarx, there will be no podcast, there will be no development, there will be no Captain Dubstep, which is one of the games we're working on is Captain Dubstep. It won't happen. An MMO, although I saw, I was going to bring this up as news, but I saw like WoW has like invite a friend back to WoW and they get a level 80 character.
Seriously?
Wow.
Yes.
I heard Blizzard had to fire like 900 employees because WoW's just no one's playing it anymore.
Yeah, I read that most of them were coming from non-developer roles. So these are probably tech support and accounting and things like that. That they still have plenty, to keep the developers around. But either that or they just don't actually need them, and they're just using the excuse because companies do that sometimes too. Let's just face it, game companies are dicks. I mean, that's one of the advantages that I'm liking to see indies on the rise. And it's talking about. What were they talking about on Giant Bomb I listened to this week? They were talking about a game series that's being done by a different studio. Is Heavy Rain being done by? Is there a new Heavy Rain in the works that's coming out?
I saw a video from them where they did like a tech demo, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a story. I actually got that queued up. But there was some game and the Grand Theft Auto guys. Boy, I'm sucking on names right now.
Rockstar.
Rockstar was doing it, but this other company had done the first two games, but they were putting like this. They were talking about how like Rockstar's making it their own thing or something, and it just reminds me that the world of professional game dev is if you want a publishing contract, you give up your IP.
Yeah.
And that is just fundamentally wrong. Like that doesn't happen really in many other art forms, in many other entertainment forms. You don't give up, for again, names are fucking killing me. For Harry Potter chick,
J.K.
Rowling. For her to like get published, she didn't have to like sell the Potter universe to the press and like never owns it again. But games are unique in that they don't even credit the people. Like you credit the studios. Like we say Rockstar, right? We shouldn't be saying Rockstar. Like you wouldn't say, Paramount or Universal. I don't even know who the hell did it. Made Avatar. You say James Cameron's Avatar. You understand that no, James Avatar did not do it himself. But we only have a handful of game developers, a handful of Peter Molyneux, we'll talk about later, Sid Meier and stuff like that we will actually say their game. But, maybe there's a couple guys you want to put on the name of the list, but
I think a lot of those guys came from kind of an era where it took, like games weren't the huge productions they are now. You had smaller teams,
Well, it's actually the history of the game industry because the first Easter egg ever in a game was in the game Adventure, the Atari game Adventure, and the Easter egg is the initials of the developer that he hid in the game because Atari didn't put game developer on the name of the game. So he doesn't get credit for the game. It's like, no, Atari put out Adventure, not the guy's name, who I can't name right now because, we hide that. And, as indies rise, you start thinking of, even, maybe you think of at least Team Meat. When you think of the studio, you're thinking of the studio, and they own Super Meat Boy, and it's Team Meat. It's Jonathan Blow. It's,
if the publishers...
Notch and Mojang, And like that lacks from games because all of the first-tier publishers, EA doesn't make shit.
Yeah, but the problem is if the publishers own the IPs, and especially for major IPs that people are going to buy no matter like the Call of Duty series when they were moving back and forth between two different studios. Yeah, people made a big deal about how one was better than the other, but still, it was a popular series.
It's still kind of have that to the guys who came up with that IP. Yeah, it's just
like you can move that IP no matter. You can find someone to do it. Kind of like when Activision bought out or Activision sold off Harmonix and then got someone else to do the Guitar Hero series.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like some of the more egregious cases.
Off, but
it's not quite the same thing as this studio is going defunct. That's okay. We're going to take the IP and we're going to release sequels to that game.
Right.
With, like this other company over here, let Rockstar do it. And in the public's mind, they don't even realize. Like Rockstar is looking at doing a sequel to LA Noire.
Yeah.
Team Bondi is gone. They're defunct. The guys that did that are gone. Yet LA Noire 2 will come out, and in the general populace's mind,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing,
It's kind of a slap in the face, though, since they closed down the studio, that
I think
Rockstar after.
I think Rockstar just published.
It's not like they.
I don't think
went,
Rockstar I think Rockstar. If I know my story right on that one, they were kind of towards the end of that one, and Team Bondi basically mortgaged the farm to do what they did in LA Noire on their tech.
Okay.
And they got to a point where no amount of success is going to pay back what they spent to make that game.
Right.
Right. They just got into a similar like Duke Nukem type situation. But even then, even if a publisher gets into like a Duke Nukem type situation or they get something really big, let the game studio still have their IP so they can like, all right, man, we're on the ropes. People love retro shit. We're going to go ahead and sell some of our retro IP to keep funding, you know, like we have this back cache of stuff that we can pull out, and do. And, you know, as these retro things become popular and Kickstarter comes off, and it's like Tim Schafer going like, well, we would have to get, you know, like the rights to do a Psychonauts 2. Why the fuck does he have to get the rights to Psychonauts 2? You know, he's Tim Schafer. It's his game. And yet this is the world that we live in. If he wanted to publish that game,
I suppose it's like
you have to play the game and you have to give it up. And
like in music, a lot of times people will sign, you know, X number of contracts for X number of records, and they can get screwed over for that, but that's how they break into the industry. And I'm sure it's the same way in game publishing where, you know, if you've got this game, you know, and you're not a well-known studio, you'll do pretty much anything to sell it. And you'll take the bad deal because that's what the industry does. Like, everyone, you know, all the big players in the industry are offering you bad deals.
Oh, I was taking to say I'm going to get a ton of shit if any gamer chick listens to this. I don't know that she listens to this anymore, but
why is he going to get?
No, I would get, because he had this exact same argument, I guess, with her on Twitter. My thing there is she's not a publisher or or a developer or, you know, it's good to read her view on this as kind of a general public perception and why they get away with what they get away with, because the perception is Rockstar put out LA Noire.
Yeah.
You know, and Team Bondi. Team Bondi a little bit has some cred because, you know, their team is featured on there. But the guy who came up with LA Noire, who pulled it off, who put it together, or the guy or his second, or the two guys that did it, okay? Yeah. That even though you say Team Bondi, a lot of people are just following orders to build the game. There's a few people that are leading, designing, in the direction of the game. The producers of the game, the directors of the game, if we were to equate this with the movie world. I want to know the producers and the directors of the game. I want to know their names. I don't want to know Team Bondi. I want to know the guy's name. I want to hear Peter Molyneux. If Peter Molyneux directs the development of Fable, then I want Peter Molyneux. Because when Peter Molyneux is no longer at, and now I am getting into my news stuff.
Yeah.
When he is no longer at Lionhead Studios, fuck, I got all the names right. Woohoo! When he is no longer at Lionhead Studios, his name means something. And whatever he does next, I'm really kind of interested in, because I wonder if he's gotten to a point where he's so far into Lionhead and so far into Microsoft, his hands are creatively tied.
Yeah.
Because when your budgets are in the millions of dollars, your games have to do 10, 20 times that. Your ability to take risk goes out the window.
He's pretty much stuck. His studio's pretty much stuck doing Fable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to do Fable and Fable clones, and you're not going to take crazy risks with it. Even while, to me, the Fable series, it's been going downhill for a while.
Yeah. Because
it's kind of playing it safe, and not the innovative game that Fable 1 was. It's going down there. So yeah, we're way out there. So let me just highlight that news. I'll just jump to that news item. That wasn't going to be the one I started off with, but it is now. So Peter Molyneux, after they wrap up Fable the Journey, which I guess is some Connect title.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on...
Again, it feels like you will put out Connect title Fable, even though it makes no sense, you know? And he never got to put out, like, Milo, you know, the whole little, like, cool AI boy thing that he was working on with Kinect and stuff like that.
I don't remember
that never
seeing
shipped.
anything about it, but...
yeah,
it seems crazy that they're...
Brit urchin that was going to live in your Kinect.
Yep. Shit Peter Molyneux thinks of, okay? It's weird. The guys at Giant Bomb pointed out, like, there's a Peter Molyneux...
Molyneux on Twitter.
Yeah, or something, Molyneux Do Not, or something, whatever, on Twitter, that's like the fake Peter Molyneux account, that tweets wild, crazy shit that you could see Peter Molyneux saying, you know? Because Peter Molyneux is a master of overpromising. I mean, when
Fable.
he talks about Fable, like the next version of Fable, like that dog, you were going to love that dog. The way he talked about that dog, it was going to be amazing and all of that. And, you know, all it does is dig shit up. It really does nothing else, but it's an assistant fighting and it digs shit up. But the way he talked about it and his design and his ideas for that, I love him for that. I love his huge design ideas. I like that he has grand ideas that can't quite be implemented yet in our technology. But yeah, so he had ideas with this Milo character, this street urchin that kind of lives in your Kinect and does all these weird things that never shipped in anything or got out the door. Maybe he gets to go back and do that. Maybe that tech has to stay with Lionhead. I don't know where the fate of that goes. But yeah, he's out. He's out on the indie. I really would love him to do something like a Dungeon Keeper 3. I don't know. Did you
never played it, but
never played it? Did you play it, Sean?
What's up? Hello?
We lost me. Did you play Dungeon Keeper?
I haven't.
Have not. Okay. So, real-time strategy, but you play, the Dungeon Keeper, building out a dungeon of minions, and instead of generating units, you have a portal, and you build, like, a dominatrix layer, and that attracts dominatrix units to your dungeon. You know, if you build, like, a vampire coffin layer, then you have vampires, you know? And you have to build out these rooms and attract these minions. Of course, you have imps that you can command directly, but you have to track the rest. And then at some point, the hero comes into your dungeon to try to kill your dungeon heart and shut down your portal. So basically, you're trying to mass up this dungeon. The humor and the way that you did it was amazing and awesome and classic. I don't know if it's on Abandonia or if it's on like any kind of good old games or something like that. I hope it would hold up. I'm thinking it just should hold up, but I hope it holds up. It was.
What do you mean hold up? Like
hold up today. Like if you went back to play it today, like I told you when I went back and played Quest for Glory. Yeah. And it did not hold up at all. Like, I was like, I don't know how I ever played this.
I actually went back and, I installed King's Quest V, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. The problem was...
You destroyed a part of your childhood, Dylan.
No, it was because the version on the King's Quest collection only supports voice acting, and the voice acting is not good. Like, you don't get the text. It's just like, man, this is so cheesy.
Did you play the text version, or did you play the voice-acted version when you originally played it?
Cannot remember. I want to say I played the text version.
Okay.
Like, it was that long ago.
Yeah, so sometimes you gotta look around, like there's a VGA or something, or a new remake of Quest for Glory, and I stayed away from it because I was like, I didn't play that. And
yeah, they've got the... I guess it's the same group has King's Quest 1, 2, and 3. And I think it's fully voice acted, and it's a point and click instead of a text based adventure. So it's kind of like.
Are these remakes or are these?
These are remakes, like
put out by the original company.
No, these are not put out by the original company.
No. I mean, the original company.
Okay.
Updated at some point.
Right.
With like Quest for Glory 4 coming out, they put out a new updated Quest for Glory.
I think they did that with King's Quest 1 and some other game, like one of the Space Quest games was like that.
Local Indies Press here. Armless Octopus, Dave Boyles was at GDC this week and was in a Metro session. Microsoft was pointing out Metro development for games. And he asked the question, what about XNA? Like, he had the opportunity there, and they said that they were working on a white paper for migrating XNA games, and quote, that a lot of it's cut and paste.
Holy crap.
Now, I asked him on Twitter, and we got into DMs back and forth, like when they said cut and paste, did they show any cut and paste? Because, then did they talk about any C#, and there was none of that? Because to me, for the cut and paste to work, that means you need a C# DirectX managed layer. But they said they were patterning a lot off of XNA. I personally am not too hung up on whether XNA itself lives on in the Windows 8 and the Windows RT era. Just that a managed interface. I don't have to do memory management. I'm fine with learning a new framework. That doesn't scare me. But we didn't get a clear answer on that. The Windows beta has come out, the refresh beta, and I'm not seeing any kind of like, hey, there's a managed DirectX layer on the Windows 8 beta that's there. So I don't hold hope out for this one. I think we're going to take a step backwards on Windows Game Dev, and I think things like Unity are going to step in and take a larger share. Because,
and just do like, hey, you can port your app to Metro.
Yeah.
And Unity would actually be perfect for it, I think.
And hopefully they open it up. SQ1, Space Quest 1. I was looking in chat and trying to figure out what SQ1 was remade. I guess it's Space Quest. Here's a rumor I think's not true at all. And I question how official the official Xbox magazine really is. Because they run some of the worst rumors. But the rumor, new Xbox won't have a disk drive. And I'm just going to say no.
No.
For one, Microsoft wants to dominate the living room. They have to ship with a Blu-ray player to claim living room dominance on that. So there will be a drive there. Two, they're not ready to end the era of $60 retail games.
No.
We're not at the point where digital has forced that out, and I don't think Microsoft is going to speed that up.
Now, what about the possibility that there would be a model, like the low-end model would not play games?
I think that
or play
is
discs,
dangerous
sorry.
because if you ship a console where there's features at one end and not the other, like there's an add-on, you immediately fragment the market.
You get the Sega
Right.
CD.
And most developers have proven they're going to target the largest and ignore custom peripherals and things like that. Those are very hard to get on.
Well, my thought is, the implication there would be that every game would also release on demand.
Look, no game
This is kinda
requires
pie
a
in the
hard
sky.
drive. There's no
Right.
Xbox game that really requires a hard drive. There might be one or two out there, but in general, none of them are going to say, hey, we require the hard drive to use that because it's optional.
Yeah.
So if it's optional, then you can't guarantee it's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I would say a disk drive, as long as you've got on demand, is a little bit different than a hard drive in that, it's how you're reading the games off, but, who knows. But you're right. I mean...
Feel free, Sean, by the way, to chip in and weigh in on any of these things.
Sure. I mean, I'm having fun listening to you guys.
The next one that I got up here, I'm not gonna play the video, or maybe I can get it up. Maybe it'll play through here. This is a tech demo, and if I can get it to an interesting part, this is a tech demo that came out this week, I guess, is when it was released. It's a little 7-minute movie, okay? And the movie essentially tells a story of a little robot girl that comes to life. The interesting thing here is that this was not pre-rendered. This executes real-time on a PS3. The Uncanny Valley, it's like they conquered. They got across that. You watch that, and there is very few points at which it becomes Uncanny Valley. And in fact, it's really far enough across the Uncanny Valley that I'm like, this is amazing, and I'm fine with that. Now, part of it might be in the story of this this short. She is an android. She is a robot. So...
Well, she already starts with, only some pieces of skin visible.
She does.
So.
They make her into a full body. And
I think I watched part of it, and I'm like,
It's a great little
Okay.
7-minute short. Like it's an entertaining 7 minutes. The crazy thing is that so they mocapped this with a real actress playing the part. They had like 90, I think, is what they said, facial markers, and then another 90 body markers to track everything, to track all of her facial muscles and everything like that, as well. And then we're able to use that in the game. And this is holy fucking crazy awesome when you realize this probably couldn't ship on today's consoles. Like, you couldn't actually have a game running because you're still running a scripted sequence. So you're not going to have that custom reaction dialogue. But the next gen of consoles are going to hardware refresh enough that I think this is possible. I think we're on the cusp of it's going to look this damn real. And that's awesome to me because that justifies $3 million budgets on games. Like, that justifies blockbuster style games.
Well,
like, if Mass Effect 4 comes out and the sex scenes look like that, I don't care how bad Mass Effect 3 will be. I'm on board. Blue alien sex that doesn't have Uncanny Valley? What else? Why else do we play games, Dylan?
I don't know. That just seems like one of those circling the drain moments. Like, yes, you've evolved all this technology for a sex scene in a game. Well, it's been fun, America, but culturally, you've reached your limit.
We got a segue here real quick. We got a question in chat for Sean. And what did you consider the hardest part of making Backyard Zombies to be?
Oh, man. Optimizing all of the codes to reduce lag and get rid of it. I mean, that was terrible.
So, do you think that was just kind of like being new to Unity, and had you know these things in advance, you would have never built it that way to begin with? Or...
Yeah, I definitely think that's it, because I was watching tutorials. They teach you all the pre-made functions and whatnot, and after a while, when making mobile games with Unity, you have to keep in mind you can't use certain functions like instantiate and destroy, and those are two very big functions that Backyard Zombies revolved around, and I had to go back and make something called a game object pool, and that was a lot of work.
I think that's where having a developer background will be better off, because, if something says instantiate to me, I'm immediately going, well, that's going to create a shit ton of resources in memory. But if you're coming new to it,
You're like,
how do I create
it's just
something?
Go on the
Instantiate,
fly.
that makes it on the fly. Done. I move on to my next thing.
The thing is, for certain cases, for certain types of games, that makes sense.
I still think it's impressive that, Unity is this approachable. That, 3 months. Backyard Zombies, 3 months development. I think it's awesome. I think he's made it look bad. I think we're like 2 months into our game, and we don't have shit to show for it yet.
Which game?
The Unity game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you guys probably have a lot of other stuff that you have to work on, like, to maintain the site and whatnot. I had a lot of spare time on my hands.
The joys, man, of college students. I don't think you can truly appreciate...
Enjoy it.
...how much free time you have.
Remember it.
Until you have, you have, 3 kids, and you really realize, shit, I thought I was busy before. I had no fucking clue, And yeah, I just don't think I just
Stick to dogs or cats.
No, dogs will control your life.
I don't knock my cat at all. I don't blame my cat for anything.
I said or stick to cats. Dogs.
GDC happened all this week. A whole bunch of GDC stuff and up. So grab just a few select things. OXM has a pretty interesting article to read on a Q&A session after Indie Game the movie. They kind of showed the movie and then had a Q&A with the team meet and the Fez guys and such that are in the movie. Kind of talking afterwards. I'm just kind of highlighting out. It's just kind of interesting to read. Just kind of an interesting. And one thing I found curious, because we've never really been there. We've never really shipped a major successful game. But they talked about, I think it was Team Meat talking, or maybe it was Fez. I forget which one was talking, and basically said, you get depressed when you ship your game.
Really?
Because you've been going, the game, polishing everything, my world is the game, and you're like, the other developer's like, yeah, get ready for it, man, you're going to be so depressed when you ship your game. And like, what are you talking about? I'll be so fucking relieved, it'll be done.
I was very depressed. I was very depressed.
Did you hit a depression? Did you hit a downswing of just like, this was so much of my life, and now it's out there?
It was more like 2 weeks after releasing it, I realized, okay, this isn't going to be the next Angry Birds. So don't get your hopes up so high next time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we had that depression.
Yeah,
we had all stages of
that depression.
grief.
Yeah.
With Inca Blocks, when we shipped Inca Blocks, we had denial and anger, and yeah, we went through all the cycles there. This he was talking about is, it may not even be out yet. It's just when you're development complete and you're just like timing, marketing, or shipping, which a lot of times you don't always have in indie games anyway. You can ship as soon as you're done. That depression kicks in because your life has been dedicated to developing this game, and now you don't feel like you have anything to do anymore. You know, like you're not starting the next game yet, or the pace of game development goes from insane to nothing. So I thought that was interesting. I hope we hit that one day. I hope we get depressed one day because we were so busy on a game that when it shipped, we were depressed because we had nothing to do.
Instead of depressed because it didn't sell.
Yeah. We're going to be...
Also, you're worried about what people are going to say about it, too.
Also, my favorite indie developer, Jonathan Blow. I love Jonathan because A, I love his games, and I love his design philosophy. B, I love the shit that he has no problem saying. Jonathan has no problem saying shit that causes controversy. You know, he does not...
Like what? I'm assuming he said something at this point.
I don't even say, like, sometimes he even thinks through a statement. Well, he called Japanese games joyless.
Yes, I saw that.
I watched that video.
I thought the headlines are a little bit more sensationalized from what he said in the video. But what he said in the video is basically, we've talked about this when I've talked about fun. And getting the player to experience fun and euphoria is getting the player to have aha moments. And for a player to have an aha moment, they have to solve a puzzle of some kind. It doesn't have to be a puzzle game. They just have to figure out a mechanic or figure out how to jump up on the platform or something to have that aha moment that gets them, that sense of wonder and, aha, I conquered it and I amazed it. And it's amazing how much the language he uses is the exact language in Theory of Fun. He doesn't come out and like call it fun directly, but if you read A Theory of Fun for Game Development, it matches a lot with a lot of what he's saying, and I think it's a lot of the reasons I like him talking is because I think he does have an understanding. He does have some insight that the average game developer isn't getting because you're relying too heavily on playtesting, and I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
You dive in blindly, build your platformer, going through the motions, launch your highly polished, great-looking platformer, and then don't understand why it doesn't do well. And it's because it's kind of bland and boring and it doesn't do anything unique or new. You were kind of blind to that in the development process because you weren't thinking of what challenges and what puzzles are here. What am I giving the game developer? What am I giving the gamer that they haven't seen before and do that? And he talks quite a bit about that in that video.
And I didn't see the video. I saw just an article about it. It probably was one of the more sensational ones, like you're talking about. I think that really depends on what angle the player is coming at. Like, yeah, for a lot of people, yeah, you do have to have that challenge. I think, especially, like I said, with some of the social games I've seen, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily need something, like, they want something novel, not necessarily a new challenge. Just give me more of the same, because I want more. I've used up.
That's part of the knack, is that if you give them too much new at once, your game is frustrating.
Yeah.
You have to basically give them 99% of what they already know and 1% to be discovered. So
Yeah.
they can find out that 1%.
His argument is that they don't even have that 1%.
Right, and his argument is that they don't have the 1%. Now, he never calls out a game by name. I don't remember. I watched the video. He never really calls it out. But the video is edited. Every time he's talking about bad Japanese games and games that are coming out, and they just force you to go through the motions and all of these things, they're showing scenes of Skyward Sword. And then when he starts talking about that, not all Japanese games are bad, and there are some exceptions to this, they're showing scenes from Catherine. Which I haven't played Catherine other than the demo, but the critics were pretty harsh on that, of like, it was a badly executed puzzle game, even for what it was, and I played the demo, and I was like, yeah, this thing is going to be frustrating quickly. Because it has that kind of timed puzzle, like, you're trying to figure out what to do, but yet, here comes this monster after you, and you have to do it quickly to get through it, and you make one wrong move on the puzzle, it's
So are you
over.
saying that's like the counterexample? That's like the good game that does try something new?
Well, they're saying, when Jonathan is talking about the good Japanese games, they're showing Catherine. And he doesn't call out Catherine. He doesn't say Catherine is a good example of this. And I'm like,
I'm gonna have to go back and actually watch this video.
Yeah, watch
I'm
the video.
interested. Not that I've played a lot of Japanese games recently. I mean, I don't know. When he says Japanese games, I'm thinking of like actual, like something like Catherine. Nintendo is not registering for me. I'm thinking of like things that are culturally Japanese, as opposed to like, I don't think of American games unless it's something that's like culturally.
I think,
Dragon Quest?
Yeah.
well, he didn't go into old school. He said today's Japanese games.
Today's, yeah.
So I was waiting for him, like, I played this, I'm like, haha, fucking, yes, Jonathan Blow's gonna hate JRPGs, and I will be vindicated once again.
No.
And it's not that, you know. He's talking about things coming out of modern Japan. But, you know, like, listening to him talk, it is slightly hard to hear, and people may get attached to their game and take it personally, but it does seem like he's phrased himself very carefully to not attack developers, and saying that, I want to have these design conversations. I want to get to a point where we can have these design conversations of what is your game design actually doing, and then move forward. Now, I think a bit of that is some hippie trippy shit that, like, yeah, dude, that doesn't happen. We don't just all get together and love one another and have real conversations without people getting pissed.
Especially in games where,
Yes.
like I said, people come from different angles, and you know,
You dissed my baby!
yeah, like the thing that you think is horrible design, they probably love. I don't know. There's no good.
Let's see if there's anything in chat on this subject here. Yeah, so Steg is pointing out, a lot of what he pointed out in the video is not assuming intelligence on the part of the player. They're an idiot, and one thing that they were pointing out is how they'll tell you, like, okay, you need to go here and do this thing. And then you go there, and then they remind you, hey, remember, now you need to do this thing. And there's no, like, discovery aspect or intelligence assumed on the part of the player. I think that's why Skyward Sword got cut in a lot. Again, he didn't mention it out. He didn't call out, I played Skyward Sword and Zelda was shit.
Well,
I can't
it
believe that
might be
Miyamoto would let his name be blended to such crap. He never said that.
It's almost like the person who edited it put their own biases to, yeah.
So, he may have said these things, but...
We're almost getting to the point where you can take the statement, or you can even take the gist of the statement and get whatever you want out of it. So, yeah.
Alright. Earlier in the week, I tweeted that if this shit should come to pass, I'm going to give you a ton of fucking I told you so's. At least 2 podcasts worth. There was a bunch of rumors this week of a Valve console, and then at the end of the week, Valve goes, no, we're not doing a console. Okay? So, the console thing, though, even when their PR agent said, there's no console, he said, like, there's no immediate console plans. Like, well, what do you mean there's no immediate console plans? That mean there might be long-term you're investigating consoles? Well, of course, long-term, we keep all options open. So it's a typical PR thing of like, we're not doing anything this year, but we might do something in the future. However, what I have said has been step one is a lean-back interface to Steam.
Okay.
And what the PR rep did say is, all of these contacts with hardware manufacturers we are just testing out our big screen UI. That's step one. That's what I said step one was. Big screen UI, track the percentage of people who have installed and used big screen UI, because they're probably using it in their living rooms. That's what they exactly say. So people can use Steam in their living room. Then you have an idea of the market that potentially would buy a Steam console, and you can vet your numbers before you actually make consoles.
Yeah.
Or you can Android this and say, here is the Steam OS or the Steam app or the Steam shell for Windows or whatever, and put it on whatever you want, Dell, Alienware, HP. You guys make the boxes, we're going to make the interface, because anytime we want money, we put some shit on sales, and you guys, Pavlov's dogs, you're there, you're buying, We give you iOS apps now just to tell you shit's on sale, so you can go like, I should buy that.
Seriously?
Seriously.
I don't play Steam games much, so I haven't checked, but...
I don't much either, but he does.
I'm fastly moving back to PC gamer simply because of the sales that Steam does, and Microsoft doesn't do a great job on Xbox. Like right now, I feel like I should be able to go in, plop down $10, get all the Mass Effect 2 DLC. Mass Effect 3 is fucking out right now. Okay, so people are buying the new one. The sun has set on the Mass Effect 2 timeline for DLC. So get a last-ditch hurrah for all the completionists like me, who, if you put that on sale, would go in, buy it all, and play all that DLC before I bought Mass Effect 3.
I mean, it's price discrimination. Like, you probably wouldn't spend full price, so you're not going to buy it, like, as soon as it comes out, but you're going to wait a year, and then, you'll buy it, and they'll make those sales then.
Last thing that came out, I'm going to link to, and this is going to segue into our Kickstarter section of the show. NGDC, a panel basically on how to get funded on Kickstarter. A lot of just general talk at this moment. For some reason, as Kenny has noticed in chat, there's a random hot chick on there. I don't know if that's advice. I don't know why she's there to this article, or maybe they just want, like...
A random hot chick.
They point out something in the article that I want to highlight, though, on the show, and that is most people buy Kickstarters at $10 and $25, give away the game at $10, and make $25 awesome add-ons. And I think I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, I know I've mentioned it to you as I've gone through these Kickstarters. When I see an indie game, and to get the indie game is $20, I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Because
Kickstarter is pre-sales, and you are an indie game. To go north of $10 is dangerous, right? $10 is a good, don't think about it, PC, looks good. If you have a video of the game, first of all, get a damn video of the game up. Alright?
I've only got $5 on Kickstarter.
You do have $5, yes. You have a video up of the game. There's ones on there, they have no video of the game. And it's like, look, guys, if you don't have enough time in your spare time to mock up a game level for a video...
Yeah, you gotta convince your audience, really.
Then I have no faith that you can build this game. And if you're not Tim Schafer, you're not getting money, okay? Tim Schafer can go in there with no idea of what the game's going to be about and get money.
Who's Tim Schafer?
Tim Schafer. Sorry?
Who's Tim Schafer?
Oh, wow. Tim Schafer is Double Fine. So the Double Fine Kickstarter, which raised $2.5 million. Have you seen that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now you know who it is. Yeah.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, Stegs is saying that you're like banned from the podcast now. But it's okay, Stegs. Sean is a whole lot younger, so it's okay. He didn't play Maniac Mansion and Psychonauts, Grim Fandango. What was the other one? Monkey Island.
I'll be honest, I haven't played any of those games.
Yeah. Did you play Brutal Legend?
But I know what they are.
Yeah, I'm more of a PlayStation 1 kind of guy.
Did you play Brutal Legend?
Nope.
Okay. That was a recent
Brutal
game of
Legend.
theirs. I'm trying to think. Wasn't commercially successful, but was definitely interesting. On that. Dylan, you got a ban too.
For what?
Stegs is banning. And I'm impressed because Jim is in chat.
No. What did I get banned for?
I'm sorry. Looks
Not
like Jim
having played
signed out.
most of those games.
He had to leave.
I have played so many
Steak is
other
taking over for Jim.
point-and-click adventures. Like,
Does not
He
matter.
wants you to pick up
Torchlight.
the pink post-it note and pink slip yourself. I don't think she gave you the pink ones.
No,
nope.
I don't think I have pink ones.
I thought you had pink ones. I think the girls took the pink ones.
Yeah, maybe we used up all the pink ones. I don't have pink ones.
I've played King's Quest. That's older than Grim Fandango. That's older than Maniac Mansion.
But yeah, I want to point out that it's crucial to pick these levels. As an indie guy, don't go over $10. Make sure you are giving away a copy of the game.
And as an indie guy, you're not like, if you're giving away a copy of the game, there's no merchandise costs. It's not like, you have to
Yes.
figure that in.
We are looking at doing a Kickstarter for a t-shirt site. We used to run a t-shirt site. It was not very successful because we were trying to do print on demand. And the cost on that meant we had to sell like $25 a t-shirt to profit $2.
Yeah.
And we just could not do that. So now with Kickstarter, we're looking at like, well, if we can get a Kickstarter together to buy the shirts in bulk, then we can have $17, $18 tees. And so we're looking at kickstarting that. Not kickstarting a game just yet. We are looking at kickstarting Captain Dubstep when we get to a point that we have our demo level ready. But that's further on down the line. So we've been paying attention to it. But when we're kickstarting something like the t-shirt site, there's a lot of hard costs involved, we found. And as we're running the numbers and we're crunching our numbers of like, this is how much money we need to buy the shirts and then to buy the additional stuff that we need to store and ship the shirts. Holy shit, we have to ask for a ton of money to clear beyond that, because there's a hard cost associated with that. You don't have that with the indie game. Now, you might be limited, and you might have to limit a level, like if you're doing an Xbox Live indie game, you only get 50 tokens. So you cannot give away everybody who buys it a token. But you may want to look at doing a PC release simultaneously of the game if you're going to kickstart it, and give away PC copies unlimited that way. I haven't delved into iOS or Android actually to see, can you generate free tokens? Do you know if you can do that, Sean? Can you give away free tokens on Android? Just generate as many as you need?
Why would you need to? You could just give them APK.
Give away tokens?
Yeah, some way for them just to get it from the marketplace for free.
I'm not sure.
Steg says you can't do it on iOS, so yeah, I don't know how you give away. I mean, there's got to be something because you got to be able to give away review copies.
APKs.
Yeah, I know on Android you could sideload an APK. You can't do that in iOS.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Other than reading the file.
So a platform like that could limit you, and that could factor in. But if you're going to be on PC, Mac, or something like that, the $10 that, and then give people a reason to chip up to $25, because I've said this several times. When you're an indie, people love your story. They love telling people Minecraft. People love talking about not only how great Minecraft the game was, but how it was this one guy in Sweden making it. They loved the story. They loved being there first. They loved, like, I heard of these guys before they were famous. So give them something. Like, I will give you video access to my, little handy cam of making it or something. Just whatever you can come up with to like chip up that level and sell part of the story at $25, because a significant portion will probably chip up to that level for the memento.
There's almost a curve that you have to think about, and I'm not saying that I know what that curve is because I've seen enough, but like, at the low end, it's like, here's the people who just want the game, they don't care about being a part of it. Then there's kind of like the rewards for people who actually want to take some sort of stake, mentally take some sort of stake in your product. And then, of course, there's the rewards that you never expect anyone to get, but are just there because they sound cool.
Stags just said, I think Mike said Kickstarter was full of hipsters. And yes, I'm saying that, and I think, yes, that's true. I mean, these are people giving money to projects because. Go look at the successful projects on there. Apple. It's Apple something. It's an iPhone, iPod, iPad something. Well, like your normal iPod dock is not good enough for you. You have to have one made out of brushed aluminum, and you have to pay a premium for that.
I think a lot of it, it is definitely kind of a hipster thing, because like what we've talked about in how would we start a Kickstarter is it really caters to stuff that people can buy into, like take stake in.
So, speaking of all this Kickstarter stuff, let's get to our Kickstarters this week. Like I said last week, I'm not doing Kickstarter of the week. I'm not making a competition. I'm just kind of going through, I'm looking at every video game that gets posted and making a judgment call of whether it's worthy mention or not. I'll say right now, if you're just posting up there a first-person shooter, I'm not going to mention you. There's nothing special about your first-person shooter that is unique and worthy of a Kickstarter. And again, like if you're like, hey, I have a crazy idea for an MMO, you're not going to get enough money for a good MMO. There was some Kickstarter where somebody was asking for like 1.1 million for his MMO, and all he needs to hire is a designer and a developer and a network guy and a website guy. And it's like, but he's an idea man, and he didn't even have art assets.
And everyone else.
He didn't even have notebook sketches. He had some text on an image and 3 paragraphs. So it's like, yeah, good luck with that, buddy. I don't care how awesome your idea is, that's not flying. But we've talked about it. So Backyard Zombies, I did tag this before Sean was coming on. And the idea here I like on your Kickstarter is it's $400. It's a, hey, I just want to get Unity, a license to port my game. I am not asking for this crazy $20,000 big thing. You can ask for small amounts. In fact, Kickstarter even has a section on the site for projects under $10,000. So that automatically gets you in that list that might garner you some extra traffic.
Sweet, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Now you've only been up a few days, so I don't think $5 at this moment is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, if people do their research, they're going to know that I actually don't even need the $400.
Now, you know what, though? I mean, stay on there.
I want to get the
Pro.
Pro.
Hey, Unity Pro is $1,500, so let's see if I can buy Unity Pro.
It'll definitely go towards that.
Not that much more. I mean, all things considered, if you get $400 from people on the internet, get $1,500.
The next one up, and now the other thing I am kind of also interested in watching and tracking is how often mobile games are successful versus PC games, because mobile games have issues as far as like giving away free copies of the game, whereas PC, I'm obviously on a PC on my Kickstarter.
But mobile games tend to be cheaper, so,
The next one I'm calling out here, the Ant Experiment, an MMO, where you basically play an ant and it's being created by these PhD guys who have studied ants and how ants work and all of that. It sounds like interesting in that, like, this is a weird new concept. I don't think this thing's going to hit it, man. It was up for 5 or 6 days. It's got $800 of a $300,000 goal.
Sounds very academic.
It is very an academic project, so it may have a late swing, like Code Hero did. But it's kind of cool. And they have a really good video because they have this professor guy like walking around and reading very obviously off of a whiteboard and some humor worked in. I will say, if you're going to put humor in your Kickstarter video, find somebody who will be brutally honest with you and tell you if you're funny or not. Because I've seen so many Kickstarters where they think they're funny, laughing on the couch, making jokes, and they're not funny, and it's bad, and you're killing your chances. So if you're not funny, don't try it. If you have humor, have somebody independently verify you are funny before you...
And not only that you are funny, but what you are writing is funny. What, like, the concept is funny.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, show them the video, like, what you're going to do, and vet that, because that can hurt you. Here's the Mecha Galaxy game that I was talking about, the social game for Mech Commanders. So you're playing, like, a social Facebook-type game, but you're upgrading your mechs, and they got some cool little animations of the mechs that just kind of suck me in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is why I'm torn. They're funded.
Oh, wow.
So they've already hit their funding in like the week that they've been up. They were asking for $3,500 up to $4,500. The game is like a free-to-play model too. So
like freemium where you can buy upgrades?
Yeah, I think we just lost. Come back. Come on. Our desktop presenter has decided to take a break. There it comes back. So the upgrades are getting some content in the game. Like, you'll get some extra guns. You'll get the, this. So, I don't think I need to pay. I would just get access to a beta.
Okay.
I may pay $5 to get to the beta. It's Max. It's Max.
It's a Facebook game.
Just be honest with myself.
I block all Facebook game things that hit my feed, by the way. Just so you know.
Heroes of Forevia. Give them some props on the the name there. These guys are making a... let me jump ahead there. Because they spend some time talking on the couch, which they don't do very well. Or no, they actually never get the gameplay. This was one that I wish I would have got the gameplay, but I went ahead and gave it to them on the concept, and that they have a beta up. I wish they would have gameplay. If you have a beta, you need to have gameplay. They are basically making a gauntlet, like an old school gauntlet, 4-player, login, and I can get behind that. They're asking for $10,000. Maybe they're shooting a little high for what might be achievable. I don't know. We're still kind of figuring out like what is achievable and what is crazy talk. But
as far as like the amount you can raise,
yeah.
I wonder if there'll kind of be a bubble, at some point where it's like crazy, crazy money, and then after that pops, suddenly like the $400 projects are popular again.
For a bubble pop
because they're honest.
I think this bubble pop potential will come in about a year or so when these people are done with their games.
Yeah.
And if there's a high amount of like, I find it crap, you're not going back.
Have you guys posted?
Oh.
Yeah. Have you guys posted anything on Kickstarter?
We have not posted yet. I've backed 4 games so far. Guncraft is the only one that I have backed. People need to get on that shit because it's the only one I've backed that has not hit its funding. I'm gonna have a perfect record. I'm gonna be like the Warren Buffett of Kickstarter, of like, if Mike picks it, then it's fucking getting funded. And Guncraft is Minecraft meets Modern Warfare. So you're playing like Modern Warfare, shooting and all that, except it's in like a Minecraft world, so you can like build a building or something to hide in and blow it up and that kind of thing. And they got demos up and things like that. It looks really interesting. And I also do know some of the developers involved in that, and I know that these guys are quite capable of pulling it off. And I like the idea. It's an interesting mashup, so I'd like to see that happen. They need to do better marketing themselves or something because they're not getting out of there. Here's one that I almost didn't pull in because it is a scrolling shooter. It is just a pretty scrolling shooter which on the surface of that, I was kind of like, the notebook thing has been done before.
I don't think you've liked it usually when it's on Xbox Live Indie Games. Most of the games.
No, a lot of times they don't do it well. It doesn't pull off well, and the actual gameplay is very basic because they're relying on art, not gameplay, to sell the game. He even says, like, what makes this unique is all of it's hand-drawn. I'm like, that's nothing special, dude.
No.
Like, if you want to see something crazy and unique, go play Platypus. That shit looks like claymation, alright? That is crazy unique. Notebook sketches are pretty damn easy to do. But it does get into this, like, even though it's a scrolling shooter, of like, hey, here's some little platform segments, here's some, like, upgrade mechanics and customization abilities and things like that. So there's a little more depth. And, the game here interests me because it's like, okay, you are adding a little more depth. You're taking this art style, and you've got your art hook, but you're adding more depth, and you're taking it somewhere. I like what you're doing. So I'll give it going on there. And what's the complaints? Oh, did Indie Gamer chick shit all over a Platypus? Is that what happened? Platypus was actually licensed IP. Platypus has this tale of somebody that lost his IP, sold it to another company. But you can go, like, read the story of this game because it didn't sell, basically. And then this other guy came in and bought the IP rights and rewrote the game engine, basically polished up some issues, and then it sold well. And then somebody else came in and asked to port it to Xbox, and they licensed him to do it. So it's kind of it's kind of interesting. And the guy's kind of honest about, like, I did it, I tried, it didn't sell. So what it became, I can't really, like, get too upset about, like, not getting paid for on the game. That's one worth looking up the history on. Doing Time. I put this one in there. It's all concept, and they want $150,000 for a Facebook game.
No.
So, yeah, I'm kind of no. By the way, you got to be at least near the microphone, in the general vicinity of, for it to come out. They can't see that because I don't even have the video up.
I don't care.
So I think he's way off on that. You have to watch it for the video. This is a really good idea of the video. So essentially, the video starts out, and he's like, "Hey, I got this awesome idea for this game, and I just need to get money for the game. So I'm going to go get money for the game now." And you're like watching the dude, and here he comes up to this convenience store, and he puts on this ski mask, and pulls out a shotgun, and like rushes into the store, to like, all right, I'm going to go get money for my game. And then like you jump a hard little bit and you see, him getting arrested, and, like you hear the cops kind of in the background. And then he's like going forward a little bit. He's getting fingerprinted and he's in handcuffs. Then he's getting his mugshots done. He's being deloused, and all of these things that he goes through. And it's a really good, like, it sucked me in. The video sucked me in. I think he's asking way too much money for what is essentially a Facebook game around the idea of stupid Facebook statuses. Like, so instead of like, I want you to come plant corn in my field, it'll be like, can I have your cornbread? And stuff like that. So, and so-and-so shiv so-and-so, like that. And it's not going to be about escaping prison. It's going to be about living in prison. And doing that.
Wow. Can you make mature rated Facebook games?
That's... Yeah, I think so. At least the ads are more mature than the games. And by mature, I mean immature. Isn't that fucked up? When we say mature, we really mean immature. The
more 13-year-old
when it's adult content, we really mean juvenile shit going on.
Yes.
Like how we say adult immature mean adolescent and immature.
Remember earlier when you said...
Adult humor, because it's fart jokes,
Remember when I said that, like, that the Heavy Rain developers' technology being used for Mass Effect 4 sex scenes, end of society, exactly.
The last one that I called up is an interesting educational project of a game that students and people interested in getting involved in their community. So it's like there's a lot of young college age kids who really even know what needs to be done, whether on a small level, like I know how to fix our cafeteria issues at our campus, or at larger levels like that, but needing to know how to like motivate and bring people to your cause and all that. So it's basically what the game would be designed to teach. And I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the idea of like, here's a game, because kids like games, and we'll, through the game, reward behavior that would grow people to your cause, and that kind of teaches you, like you go out, you petition, you get signatures, and you find spokespeople for your event, and you make videos, and, here's how you pitch your cause and things like that. So it sounded interesting. Also, the guys behind it have won like gaming awards at indie conferences and gaming conferences, so there's some background to what they want to do, and I like the fact that it's like, yeah, we have some success with making some games, and we have interest in making games, and what we really want to do is make this on here. They're asking for $16,000. In the few days they've been up, they've gotten almost $1,300, so theirs might look like it's going to be pretty good for a season name. All of these will be up in the show notes for there. So if you want to go check them out, watch any of the videos, and back any of these. And the good thing is, like, if you think like the Ant MMO doesn't stand a shot in hell, but you're interested if it does, the good thing about Kickstarter, you get your money back if they don't hit the limit. So you really aren't taking risk, and if they don't get their funding, you've lost that money. You're just pledging. It doesn't charge until they hit their amount with that. So that kind of wraps up the show this week. Before we close it off, any last parting words or things, Sean? And chat, any last questions for Sean? Sean nodded off again. We lost Sean.
What's up? No more. I don't have any questions.
Sean's off playing Dota. That's
League of Legends.
I want to thank you for coming on. Next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Next week, looks like we're already lining up Dave Voiles to come on and talk about Unreal. So the other U-Star framework that everybody talks about. So Dave Boyle is new at development, I think, and he's been hacking with that and making a 3D port of Mega Man 2 is the project that he's been working on. I've seen some gameplay of that, and it's kind of interesting where he's at on that, so I was kind of impressed. So I'm going to bring him on. But also, Dave went to GDC, so we'll be able to talk about GDC some next week. Dylan, you're going to be out at the Momo conference?
MomoCon? It's an anime con. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is for Chainsaw Buffet, your other podcast.
I actually was not involved in getting the media passes, so I'm just like, sure.
Oh, so you weren't the one coordinating the panel and setting all that up this time?
I don't think we're doing panels. I think we're just there because we've never been. This is, I don't know. It's held in one of the Dragon Con hotels. So.
All right. And then I'm going to just start, out that the 23rd we will not have a podcast. We will be off that week for a fundraiser for Technology Cooperative. We talk about that all the time. Hit techco.org. Hit donate there. It's a technology program for outreach to give more kids exposure to technology. We run a game programming group there. I'm also involved in helping out the JunkBots program, where kids tear apart printers, take the parts out of them, and then make them into robots and devices and things. Printers are great to disassemble because not only do they have electronics in them, they have motors and moving parts and gears, so you get a lot of what you need to build things from printers. And everybody has old printers. And I fucking hate printers. Printers should die. Printers remind me of old technology, of failed...
Even when technology was old, they were like...
they remind you of the failure of the digital world, because anytime you have to hit print, the digital world has failed you.
You're back to mechanics and moving parts
and hard copies.
Yes.
Like, you could not take care of this in the new computer world because you had to make a copy. And so, like, we just don't all have our frickin', you know, Star Trek pads or iPads or tablets that we can just go like, I'm checking out this graph and, you know, let me easily show you what's on my desktop and walk over and show everyone. Like, that doesn't work. I don't
mind printers so much is when I have to send a fucking fax.
Yeah, I had to fax shit when we were refinancing the house. Some shit just gotta have a fax. Just what the fuck.
That seems crazy that they even do that anymore.
They will send you a PDF, and then you must send back a
lawyers,
fax.
basically. That's who fucking keeps printers around. They have to have printouts and fucking everything because they're lawyers.
I don't know. There's some things where printers are good. Fax machines, what the heck?
So, so we're working on that. We'll be at that. And then, I think I'm going to commit to it on air. You know where I'm going with this one.
Yes, you've already told me.
March 30th, that Friday, is my birthday. So it is my birthday, and I will rant if I want to. And I am going to line up my rants, and I will pre-announce who I'm going to go off on, so you can tune in.
Mike Rant, the episode.
Yes, that's what it will be. I think I will say the things that I have said to people, but not on air and behind the scenes.
I just need to not even have the mic that night, because I'm gonna, you know, it's gonna interrupt the flow.
It's going to be your beer night.
Oh.
It'll be the things that I never get to do because it's my birthday, but it'll be kind of like in a roast type style too. Like, it's not going to be the awful of the awful. Like, I'm not going to rant against Fortress Craft.
Because you've already done that enough.
Well, they're just crap. This is honoring in some way, indirectly honoring. Roasting, but, I rib you because I love you type thing.
Okay.
Like eating chocolate in front of my wife while she's on Lent.
Is that so? You love that, or you hate that, or you love her and you?
I do that because I love her.
We're not, like, none of us, no one no one we know is going to be the target of a rant, are they? Like, personally. No one we know personally.
No, I'm not gonna commit to that.
Not on air, though.
Well, no, it'll all be on air.
Well, I mean, you're not going to commit to it on air right now.
I'm not going to commit on air to not ranting on people I know personally.
Okay.
That is still fair game. There is nobody right now at this moment, but there will be a pre-announce. I will say in advance, so I'm not, like, burying it in the middle of, like, you got to go listen to minute 35, or whatever. No.
You need to just, like, have...
Hey, guys, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Bye.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. In fact, it is midnight for us as well.
Yes.
We need to wrap up. So thank you, Sean, for coming on. We enjoyed having you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, everybody who tuned into the live show. Thank you, everybody who downloads the podcast. We will be back in a week.